How are we doing now? I'm just waiting on a guest. We're having technical difficulties today.
Oh my
You're
god.
there. We
Hi.
already have audience.
Well, yeah, I know. That's why I realized you could see my face when you said, "Oh, let's do it on Instagram Live instead." And I was like, "Oh." I was like, so many people are just gonna
But your
pop
hair's on
in and
point today.
what?
Your hair's on point today. You're
Oh,
looking refreshed. You're not
thank
ill
you.
anymore.
I showered. It's a big
Wish I could
accomplishment
say that.
sometimes. Yeah.
You're, you're lucky you're not getting me like this. This is how I'm feeling today.
Is it
So
your birthday
I'll
though?
put my hood down. I'll be social. Yeah,
Yeah, happy birthday.
it's a weird. Thank you. We'll chat about the birthday thing another day.
Okay.
I'm always a grumpy boy on my birthday. Okay, so this is new. This is new for the troublemakers. This is new for
Mm-hmm.
me.
New for me.
I never, I never do these live.
No.
It's like, you know what? We'll just cut the safety net and just like wing it.
Sure, yeah. So you're recording
So
it.
yeah, it's live. I'll record it after and then transpose it over to all the stuff and you know all the things. That's my favorite. All the things.
Sounds good.
Okay, so you got to tell everyone who you are. I know who you are, and I'm like, as far as me being me, I'm like, this is a guest that like their story needs to be told, what they're doing needs to be told. And I was talking to a friend of mine earlier today, and I was like, you know what? I know I'm probably gonna ruffle some feathers with my podcast today, but they need to be. And that's me. And I said, it wouldn't be me if I didn't do that. So, dun, dun,
Well,
dun, drum roll.
yeah, hopefully you
Tell
don't
me
get
what to do.
too much negative feedback from it. But yeah, my name's Megan. Um, I'm a registered psychiatric nurse, and approximately 11 weeks ago, I decided to start this project called Abortion is Healthcare Signs in Saskatchewan because I got fucking. Can I swear on this podcast?
You can. I
Okay.
swear.
I
It's
got
really
fucking
crazy.
sick. I got fucking sick and tired of seeing all the anti-abortion signs in Saskatchewan. And I said, "Fuck, why
Mm-hmm.
can't we do something about this?" So here we are. It's really
I
been like
remember.
go.
I remember. Well, like maybe 12 weeks ago, 15 weeks ago, you were driving and you just messaged me, and you were like, "Do you believe how many like anti-abortion billboards there is in Saskatchewan?" And I was like, most of my people message me with like, "Hey, what's up?" Not you. And I was like, there has to be more. And then fast forward, and when you first told me about it, I was like, it needs to happen, but because you know me, and I'm like, but I was like, it's lofty. It's like it's a lofty goal. And then to see where it is in such a short time, it's like, holy shit. If there was anyone in my circle, as vast as my circle is, to captain this ship, it's you.
Oh, that's so nice.
So
Thank you.
props to you on that.
Yeah, I actually that weekend drove through Moose Jaw because we were going camping at this like little tiny abandoned campground called St. Victor's. It's like south of
Mm-hmm.
Assiniboia. But anyways, it was amazing. But side note, yes, I seen anti-abortion signs like so many on my drive there, and Moose Jaws has a couple, and a crazy Confederate flag on their apartment building that I think I also sent you a picture of it. Um,
So it
yeah,
turns
one of
out
the
that's like down the street from me.
yeah, I was like, what the fuck, Moose Jaw? How is this still
Mm-hmm.
here?
And it's
Um,
not even old. It's new. It's a new sign with the Confederate flag. I was like,
that's great.
nope.
Yeah, it was a
So,
lofty goal. When I very first started, I was said, I hope that I can raise enough money to put up 2 signs. Um, and at that point in time, my goal is like $5,000. I wanted to find, 2 places that I could put up permanent signs. Like most of the anti-abortion ones are on private property. So I had that idea at first as well. My first goal actually was I drive a lot for work. I'm almost completely near the Manitoba border on the number 1 highway, and I drive almost all the way to Regina at least once a week and up and down. So I really just wanted to put one for me to see,
mhm.
regularly. That was the first goal. And then, yeah, it really just took on a life of its own from there. I never would have imagined. Yeah, we raised almost $25,000 on our GoFundMe. It's closed for a bit till our website's up, and got a couple grants and a lot of like amazing community partnerships, and just like all of the support and messages, and people being like, "How do we help? What can we do?" Um, I've said this a couple times already, but I feel as though everyone in Saskatchewan and all over Canada was ready and waiting for this. And I was like,
Right.
play. Yeah.
It might as well be me.
Yeah, I just pushed play, really. That's how I feel. And it's just kind of taken
Yeah.
off.
So how is it being received, both like on a professional level and like a personal level? Because I mean, Saskatchewan is like the buckle of Canada's Bible Belt. So there's that. I mean, if you're gonna do it, you might as well do it in like the most conservative place on earth,
Right.
right?
Yeah, when people from Ontario are like, "Oh, how do we help?" And I'm like, "Well, if I can do it in Saskatchewan, anyway, you guys can definitely do it in Ontario. Like, I'll help you get
Oh yeah.
started." Professionally, like for me at my current job, you mean how has it been received?
Mm-hmm.
I haven't talked about it that much at my work besides people that were friends with me before. But
Right.
one of my managers does follow the account and comment and like, and she was in the other day for lunch. Yeah, and she was like, "Oh, I'm so excited what you're doing. That's amazing." So on that aspect, it's been really great. Personally, like half of my family are fundamentalist Christians, varying levels of commitment to that. Anywhere from,
Right.
they grew up that way, they don't necessarily believe, but they're still homophobic and anti-abortion, or they, have or they my one aunt actually works at a crisis pregnancy center. That's the first this is
Mm-hmm.
good for your podcast. That's the first time I think I've said it really on this page. I think I made one post about it. I haven't talked too much about it. But yeah, so personally, I have my friends that know just how I am and aren't surprised at all by the fact that I would do something like this.
I wasn't,
Um, no.
like once you put the ball in motion, I was like, how is she not before? You know? But yeah,
Yeah. And
it's
then,
I'm proud of you. Like I tell you all the time, I'm like super proud that you're doing it. We're super proud to be like your homies and always help.
yeah,
I was
thank
curious
you.
because like personal levels are different when you get into topics like this, and some
Yeah.
people surprise you.
Some people do surprise you. Like, there's people in my life I would have for sure thought, say in the past, were supportive of LGBTQ, like even from my family, even on the religious side. I guess maybe I didn't realize how much some of those things just really stick with people. And they don't talk about
Mm-hmm.
it till it's brought up. And yeah, or it might surprise you the other way. Lots of people might be pro abortion that maybe you didn't quite know. They had a personal experience and they just don't talk about it.
That's fair. I remember talking about it with like a friend of ours, and generally this person and I like align, but we don't know because I mean I'm far scale on some things. So it kind of just came out, but they come from a different place than me, right? Like I'm pretty liberal. I'm like dudes don't always have to call the shots on everything. We actually shouldn't. So I was chatting and I was just like, "Hey, um so and I mentioned like the billboard stuff and I was like, "What do you think about this?" And they were like, "I grew up in Moose Jaw. Moose Jaw had like a pro life building on Main Street. So like
It's
walking
still in
tourists see
Moose
Moose
Jaw. It
Jaw
just
and they
moved.
had like oh, it's not on Main Street anymore.
Yeah, but it's
And
still
then
in Moose
so I
Jaw.
was like,
Just
okay. And then they were like, they used to sell plastic figurines.
I, yeah.
Like why? No
I
no
actually
one needs that. Like
remember
you're not gonna put
I actually remember one time, my early 20s, I was in Moose Jaw for a concert and we were walking from the hotel to the exhibit. And I remember walking past that and that never left my brain. Like, I was like, oh, on Main Street, Moose Jaw? Like, Main Street.
mm-hmm,
Like in this little
mm-hmm.
tourist city.
Yeah, and I mean it was run down and it was freaky.
Yeah.
So the person like they were like, oh yeah, they're like, we're 100% pro-choice. And I was like, huh, really? And their rationale was like, yes, yes on your choice. Um, and then they were like, and you're gonna have the person that argues like there's people that use it as birth control. And I was like, small percentage in my mind. And then they were like, but if it helps other people, I'm willing to blind eye the whatever percentage that, has 15 to help other people. And I was just like, wow, you're a little more coming from here than I thought you would be. And they're like, it's
Yeah.
just a no-brainer. Like, it's healthcare. It's not just, I don't want to do this. There's a
Yeah.
million other things. And I
Yeah.
think that focus is kind of lost.
It's like I can't remember what the percentage of people that have had more than 2 abortions is, but it's pretty low. Like, I think 15% or less. But in when people say, "Oh, it's okay as long as they don't use it as birth control," like no one is out there like, if I get pregnant, I just eat us the fetus, fuck it, just if it happens, whatever.
Right.
Like that's a super
Yeah.
convenient form of birth control. I need like multiple doctors' appointments and like, no one out there
Absolutely.
is like, yeah, my birth control plan is abortion. No one
Could
says
you
that.
imagine? Could you imagine if that was like the pitch? It was like, I've got a frequent flyer card. No. The other part that blew me away, because you've prompted me learning, and I like learning, is how like non-accessible it is in Saskatchewan.
Yeah.
Like compared to other places, but it's just like it's to me it just feels like it's something that it's like, okay, we'll do enough that we don't seem like we're Alabama, but yet we'll make it so hard that no one can really do it. Like a small group can do it, but we can still fall back and be like, but it's there. Like it to me, as I got going on that, it was just like, I'm not okay with this. Like it seems like majority of other health stuff is relatively there. You go to a doctor, say I get an infection. I go to a doctor treats it or refers me to a specialist. That's it. There's no like tons of exchanging of information or like, it seems like you're protected for almost everything else. And then when it comes to like women's health, it's fucking hard. And as a male, I take that for granted.
Yeah, abortion access in Saskatchewan is very limited. Like there's two places that perform surgical abortions in Saskatoon, and in Regina we have the Women's Health Clinic. In Saskatoon, I do believe that there are unnecessary barriers that have been put up. And I mean unnecessary as in the College of Physicians, or like medically accepted, those things like aren't necessary. So in Saskatoon, you need to see a family doctor to get a referral to the
Right.
clinic. So I mean, and you can go to see your family doctor in Saskatchewan and Canada, and your family doctor can say, oh, like I'm against abortion, so I'm going to refer you to someone else. They call that conscientious objection. So you could then have to wait another week or more with this, current doctor situation in Saskatchewan to see another doctor and then get a referral to go. And then in
That's insane to me.
Saskatoon, in Saskatoon, it's up to 12 weeks. And then in Regina, it's up till 19 weeks. So lots of people, even in Saskatoon, it's our biggest city, still have to travel to Regina to access abortion services.
That's that's insane to me, honestly. Like I don't even know what to say. Like it just seemed it to me it just seems like such a no-brainer, and especially when like time is important.
Yeah.
So to set, step 1 versus step 2 versus step 3, um and then like time, there's a deadline. Like I think with me and my shoulder, right? Like I needed a special MRI and I waited 2 years. And I mean, I understand the state of our health system, and that's, I am not one that ever is going to downplay that. But if I needed like a specialist and a procedure with a 19-week deadline, and it might be a couple weeks or a month before I even know, like you're fighting an uphill battle the whole way.
Yeah.
It's scary. It scares
It's,
me.
yeah. I am really looking forward to what our group has as our long-term plans. Like, obviously, putting up signs is what got us started. And it's a really exciting like thing to be doing because there's only, I think, in Cape Breton, they've put up pro-abortion signs there because they have had no access, and it's been like quite a struggle there. But besides
Okay.
that, this will be like the first one that I'm aware of in the rest of Canada. But I'm excited to see what we can bring or do for Saskatchewan in the long term after the signs. Like, how we can only put up so many.
Hmm.
We can only put up so many signs, and then what's after that. So one of the things for sure is doing gathering signatures for a petition about the bubble zones for protesting at the current abortion clinics. That's already been in existence, but we're just trying to pump up the numbers on the petition.
Okay.
And the other part might look like asking for calls to action about increasing equity, like in our legislator, like legislative, like how what's the push, what do we want? Like I know PA has nothing, Northern Saskatchewan is very like for all services, and so
Right.
what does it look like, and how do we interact with the current like political system or healthcare system to improve abortion access in Saskatchewan? I do think that like we will move in that direction, like working on those types of goals. And we're going to be doing a
Right.
project with Planned Parenthood, more around medical abortion. So that's like the pills, just improving,
Okay.
like people's awareness, like a big education campaign for the general population. But then we have a couple doctors on board with our group. So we're hoping to maybe
That's
like
awesome.
Yeah, utilize what already exists for education for family doctors, or maybe add to it, and then, start rolling on that point too, because I do think that more GPs should and could be prescribing medical abortions.
Mm-hmm. That's okay. Now that my mind is like blown, I'll give you like five of these.
Okay.
So let's put this in perspective, because I'm all about overwhelming people. So a few months ago, you're going camping.
Right.
Fast forward to today,
August long weekend.
you're you're you've built a nonprofit from what first started as you to now you have a board, to cross country interest from people in all sorts of provinces about how can we do this here, to working with people in the medical profession. Yeah, just a casual drive to camping.
Yeah. Yeah, I
You're
told you.
like,
I
okay,
said at the very beginning of this, everyone has been waiting, and I just pushed play, like really and truly.
I honestly think, and I like I've said it already, I think a lot of change, because I'm all about change. I think it's great. I think it takes that one person. That's it. It takes one person to kind of get that ball rolling,
Yeah.
and then the whole army comes behind, and they're like, we feel that too. Let's keep this ball rolling.
Mm-hmm.
So props to you for being that one person in the whole country up until you had to go camping to be like, hey, that one person's gonna be me.
Yeah. Actually, a
So
really
good
cool
on
thing.
you.
Yeah, a really cool thing that has happened was like a non-profit in Saskatchewan related to more power to you. Thanks. um, had already gotten a grant to put up an abortionist healthcare billboard. So they like gifted us that grant. And so they're going to use like our art for their billboard, like as part of our launch. So lots of people were kind of sitting on it. So yeah.
Mm-hmm. It it takes a strong person, I think. I think it takes a strong person to just be like, I believe this, and just to like put it out there. Like I found even within our household, um, obviously we're always excited to like help you and help in whatever way we can on the stuff that we believe.
Yeah.
But sometimes like even in like our friend group, you like I find that we kind of don't we downplay it when we read the room. And it's like, why do I feel like I shouldn't say something when it needs to be said? And I guarantee at least half the people believe the same thing as me. But it does. It takes a strong person just to be like, this is the hill that I'm on, and I'm standing by it. And I admire you for that.
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
blushing, by the way. Just I have a green light. It offsets the blush I found.
Oh, that's good. Yeah, it is interesting, and I think I seen a reference to this the other day that was like, if an elderly person says something racist, we just go, oh, it's okay, like she's old, or like, like AKA they've gone through all of this and they haven't once thought maybe I should change my own thoughts, and so after 70 plus years of being that way, now we're just gonna let them get away with it. um
No.
like, why are we the ones that have to not say anything to make other people uncomfortable, instead of us sitting
Right.
there when things come up that make us uncomfortable and we be quiet then as well? Like,
Right.
why aren't they the one, like, we're gonna bring it up and they can sit there and be quiet and be uncomfortable?
I think part of it, because I had that on a totally different topic with my family, because my family's conservative. Like, they conservative, and it was a different topic. And I remember sitting there, and I like, you know me, and there's very few things that I'm like really strongly about, but when I'm about them, I'm about them. And somebody said something, and I like sat on it, and I like bit my lip, and I was like uncomfortable, and then I was just like, you know what, you're wrong. We don't always, just because you're older, it's not disrespectful for me to tell you you're wrong, or that's not okay, or that's not the way it is anymore.
Yeah.
And I did that, and then I felt terrible. But fast forward like 6 months later, this family member now is like, can you explain to me pronouns? And it's like, holy shit. And they said it to me. They were like, I was really offended when you told me I was wrong. But now that I think about it, I was wrong. And now I think more than just my bubble on bigger issues. And I was like, holy shit, good, because I thought I was getting voted off the family island.
Oh.
But yeah.
I've been set loose years ago. But yeah, I think you're exactly right. And I think about the times that people have called me out on things that I've said or my behavior, or let me know that something I said was racist. And I thought, wow, okay, like, how was that racist? What can I learn about this so that I understand it so I don't do that anymore? That's how it should be.
Right.
Just because people are defensive doesn't mean that we should not say things to them.
I got my dad like gives me the weirdest things. Sorry for, we have foster puppies again, so
Always.
that's my new background tunes. Um, so my dad always gives me like really interesting, I call it cowboy logic, but my dad's not a cowboy. So I was explaining like, I don't understand how some people don't understand this or this. And he looked at me and he was like, you know what? It's like a person holding a Subway sandwich and being like, there's no world hunger. I have a sandwich. And he's like, some people don't think bigger than that. And I was just like, that makes so much sense to me.
Yeah, she
Like,
said
you know,
here
I'm
it's all in the delivery. Some people automatically go into defense mode. That's really true. And it depends on like the situation, where you are, what your relationship is with that person too, like how and when you choose to
mhm.
say those things, I think. Yeah.
She's one of my favorite Instagram people, by the way. If you don't
Yeah.
follow her because she makes like some of the coolest things on earth.
Oh, cool.
I've been like following her since I very started Instagram
I love
in
handmade
Australia.
stuff and art, and that's why I got all local art for like our billboard and our merch and everything. I
That's
like
amazing. I
supporting art.
remember when you talked to me and I was just like, I can't do it. I was like out of my wheelhouse. Honored, yes. But I remember I was just like, you know what? I know I won't be able to do it justice.
Oh yeah, that's totally fair.
So, what else? What else? Tell me, okay, how many pro-choice, or sorry, how many anti-abortion billboards are there in Saskatchewan?
Right. Currently, we have like photographed evidence of 65. I just seen like even during this live, I had a couple comments that there was two new ones that she added. So maybe we're at 67 now. Anti-abortion billboards in Saskatchewan. I think there's more out there. There's some that we haven't like quite been able to like verify, if you will. But
Right.
there, one of the pro-life groups in Saskatchewan on their website, they said that there's 100 in Saskatchewan. And to put this into context, then they said, and 100 throughout Canada. So
Hmm.
So
Saskatchewan's the hot spot then, I guess.
I guess. But yeah, and then
I don't know.
I've learned about more things that exist, like anti-abortion things that exist in Saskatchewan other than the signs since I've started this. A couple of them are like memorials for the like aborted fetuses that exist at like lots of churches or graveyard. Um, there's probably at least five of those. There's also a large north of Saskatoon. It's called the Millennial Cross. And it's like 100-foot high cross that's also in memory of aborted fetuses. That was like part of the Knights of Columbus pilgrimage one year. And then there's another one of Mother Teresa, is she has the famous abortion quote that they love that says, "Life is precious from conception to natural birth." So they love Mother Teresa. I'll send you
Okay,
a photo
because
of it.
I
It's
have
like
a
a
horror.
full-on like statue and like a little building and like there's quite a bit of money invested into some of these projects. But I've thought a couple times, like, how would it be if we did a memorial to like all the women who died in pregnancy, childbirth, or during motherhood because they wanted an abortion but couldn't get one? Could you imagine?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like I I wish like I'm generally a person who has like a zillion words and I'm still just like so taken back by all of it. Where I'm just like I can't believe this. Like driving, I'm pretty sure I've just grown immune to like the billboards, just like the store on Main Street. I kind of just but now that I like take notice it's like holy shit. Like
Yeah.
how is this a thing with like being unopposed? The other side isn't there. And then it got me looking at like all the billboards that I see now. Thanks to you, I pay attention to billboards.
Yes.
And
Everyone
majority
look
of them
for
are
billboards.
booze. Look at billboards. I always catch like the cool ones for advertising because I like advertising. But like they're either in Saskatchewan, they're either anti-abortion or booze. That's it. And it's like weird. Like that's if you were driving through, what a picture to paint.
Have you, what's that town like in between Regina with like the four huge billboards? What town is that?
Binhas ones, Belle Plaine.
Yeah, there's this one TikTok a little while ago I saw that was like booze, booze, farming, God, booze, God. She was like saying what the signs were about, and she was like, "That's Saskatchewan in a nutshell." And I was like, "All right."
That's you know what, and I mean, as much as a lot of us deny it, that's kind of it. You know, like for the majority of the people, you've got a watermelon on your head. Pilsner is like water, and South Party. So yeah, it's fun to like talk to other people from other places and like hear that. Dave was in earlier. I don't know if he's still on here. Um, it was actually him and I that were talking earlier, and he's a tattooed, bearded dude from BC, and we were talking about like abortion being healthcare, and it's crazy that like we all just assume that it's equally represented, and it ain't. Nope, nope, nope. But you just like, oh yeah, of course, like sure. And I never even thought of it until. Oh, don't forget pickup trucks. Thanks, Dave. I stand corrected. So he's from BC. But yeah, like it's interesting to even see how like people from across Canada view Saskatchewan And then we're all like, we're not that. And then you come through Saskatchewan or you read about Saskatchewan, you're like, we're that. Like, yeah, we're that. Oops. So, but it is cool to find people like you and other cool people in Saskatchewan who are like, that
Yeah.
ain't me.
Actually,
And
one of the best parts of this project that I didn't foresee when I started was how many cool people in Saskatchewan that I was going to connect with, and how like how that has felt for me, being an extremely like liberal minded no, or left
mhm,
wing person that exists in Saskatchewan. Like, also, I think in the summer, getting diagnosed with like ADHD and understanding like how that is played into like my thinking and why I am that way. Probably why I started this project. And just like, yeah, connecting with so many people that think how I think when you feel really alone in Saskatchewan, like in my town of 3,000 people in the southeast corner and in the oil patch land. Like, we've never had a progressive candidate for any party. I think once in the 50s we did, and that party doesn't exist anymore, but that's about it. So yeah, one of the most beautiful things that's come of it. Obviously, I'm really psyched to see some pro-abortion billboards, but it's really been this like community that I created by accident. That's been really cool.
that 100%. I remember messaging you one day and it was like, oh, it's cool. This person's doing this. We're friends with that person. You were like,
Yeah,
of course you are. Like, the circle might be small. I said this last week to someone. In Saskatchewan, the circle might be small, but damn, are we loud. And we're like loyal. And that's, that I'm cool with that. I'd rather that than not, right?
yeah. And I think
So,
and that aspect of it too is why I decided like not really to do like or like Canada nonprofit aspect on this, because I think that each province can also create that like community or bring together all of those like abortion supportive nonprofits that already exist, and like help all of them as well, and like really strengthen that community. That was like something I really enjoyed. So I really wanted them to have that as well. Even like, for example, something that never would
right.
have come to exist if we were like a national nonprofit is like Megan Nash did a show and then donated all of the money from it to us. Like, that's just something that happened because this project has been grassroots and like a big group project. And people are always messaging, what can I do, or I can do this, is it helpful to you, I have this skill, is it helpful to you? um, that's like the power of it, and definitely a Saskatchewan prairie thing, but a Saskatchewan thing that like,
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
Oh, wow. The one thing that I got, because I'm all about tidbits of knowledge, right? Like tidbits of like, I'm the one-liner king. Let's just leave it at that. And
Yeah.
I know I'm gonna misquote it because fuck, I misquote it every single time. Um, but a really good friend of mine, like kind of like my life mentor, um, I always feel like I'm never doing enough. Like as for the stuff that I support, right? It always feels like I can do more. I'm never doing enough. And they were just like, something is better than nothing.
Yeah.
And I was just like, that's so right. Like anything, if you just give a tiny little bit, be it time, be it your skill set, you're doing a huge thing. And that's one thing I think in Saskatchewan I've found is like if you find your circle, everyone's willing to pitch in what they can to help your vision.
Yeah.
I think that's like it's a weird twist on that like small town farmer logic on everybody comes together to build the barn. Well,
Dare I say
we're not that far
socialism?
removed, right?
Yeah.
We ain't building barns, but you're changing the world. Just throwing that out there. You know what happens when I go camping? I find greasy little restaurants that have good sandwiches. That's the extent of my like anything from going camping. And then there's you. I'm
That
just gonna
sounds
do this.
that really sounds like you weren't camping, but just like going for lunch. So I don't,
I actually hate camping more than anything.
there you go.
So if I can find a greasy sandwich, I'm good. For example, just outside on the Manitoba border, there's a little roadside town with a diner. Um, and they claim to have like the best. What's the sand? Denver? It's like a scrambled egg sandwich. The thought of them repulsed me, but it was like an old couple, and the man was like hyping them. And I had one, and I'm probably never gonna have another to compare. Best scrambled egg sandwich I've ever had in my whole world.
Scrambled egg sandwich.
Wow, that's what it is. And then there's you. You're just like, I'm gonna do this. So small victories for me.
Yeah.
Big victories for you.
Well, to be
So
fair, like I moved from Regina to like this small town 2 years ago. And like every time I've passed these signs for 2 years, I thought to myself, I'm gonna spray paint the shit out of that sign. Every single time. But like, albeit, should we say it's good or bad due to the ADHD, I would never have that thought again until I was looking at the sign. So never really came to fruition. And I was tired of having that thought and not doing anything about it. So this kind of seemed like a better option.
I think it's a better option.
Oh, totally.
I'll support the better option. Okay, so what can people do to help? How can people help?
Right. Our very first billboard will be visible October 31st, so that's exciting. And our website also, I believe, will launch that day. So we have like a donate option on there, and we'll have some lawn signs that match the billboard. So you can put in your window or your lawn, and just a couple pieces of merch like a t-shirt, a sweater, I think a bag, bumper sticker, that kind of stuff. So those will be available.
Right.
And then secondly, help us find locations for the signs. So the biggest thing is, the like big rented billboards that people advertise on. So those cost about anywhere between $8,000 and $12,000 a year.
Okay.
Which is a lot of money.
Mm-hmm.
Or if we're able to find like businesses or landowners to lease us land to put up our own sign, it would be preferable because it would cost us, say, about $1,000 to make the sign. And then we would pay like a yearly leasing fee to the landowner. But it'd be significantly cheaper. So it's like our goal to get like our own signs up on some property. I mean, because they can stay there, although we have like a lease agreement that was written by a lawyer, if anyone's listening to this, so it's pretty legit. And we can change the terms of like how long will it stay there, what are the terms of like if you want us to remove it earlier, whatever that is. But yeah, right. So if you know anyone that owns land, please ask them if we can put our billboard on their property and we'll pay them money.
That sounds like a good idea to me.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna get this. I'm gonna shut this baby down. I've got whiny puppies to play with. So, thank you. You're definitely one of the OG troublemakers. I appreciate it. I was super pumped when we were like, we're gonna do this. Yeah, anyone listening, if you're a landowner, your uncle's a landowner, your cousin's brother's a landowner, and it's something that they might be interested in having a sign on their land,
Or they
reach out.
like money.
And you get to make some money. And
Not
you
very,
make
not too
money.
much
And you're
money.
doing a good
Like, some
thing.
money. Yeah.
Like, it seems like a win-win to me.
Yeah.
My thing,
I
if you're
think
making money and you don't actually have to do anything. Oh, go ahead.
Oh, nothing. That's all. Super proud of what you're doing. Thanks.
See, look at this. You're reaching Australia now.
That's pretty cool.
You might as well just have an Australian chapter. You might as well kick that off. It's winter, so you might as well throw an Australian division now.
Sure.
So yeah, anyone, if it's something you want to get behind, if you didn't know it was a thing that's happening now, it is happening now. In Saskatchewan, it's spreading provincial to other provinces.
Yes, BC, Ontario, or sorry, BC, Alberta, and Manitoba all have groups. And we've done like a pre-launch meeting. So they're just like, oh, I'm waiting pretty much every day. I'm like, do they have an account yet? Do they have an account yet? And then Ontario, I'm meeting with next week. So hopefully they're going to get started as well. So it's really exciting.
That's awesome. Okay, I'm proud of you. Awesome. Thanks for everybody that like sat in and listened to us, and
yeah,
the people that are going to listen in the future, like the tens of people that listen to my podcast. So in typical Les fashion, keep being awesome, okay?
Thanks, you too.
You there. All right, have a great day. Thank you so much.